Hello, welcome to the Journal Club 2022. I'm Vladislav. The description of the course can be found at PhD Courses, and the timeline as simple as that. We have 4 meetings, and during this we will discuss different kinds aspects of journal articles, like opposite views and different approaches in science, general versus specific. The topics are not final, and we can redefine them during the course. The meeting is about 1.5 hours long. It means we have 2 or 3 presentations, and we also discuss some new practices. And the assignments, I mean the homework, will be analysis and practice. Please be careful. In the PhD courses it's written that we should go to C115. That is formally correct, but in order to get there, please go through C113, the door with a ring bell, and please bring your cup with tea or coffee. The course is for PhD students and postdocs, and we should focus mainly on impactful papers. What does it mean? Well, difficult to define. So let's say that the first criteria, it should not be boring, it must be very clearly written, pretty short, and it should have generated a lot of citations. But be careful, that doesn't mean that the impact comes from a breakthrough or inspiration. We should focus on these two, but we should not consider articles presenting some software or maybe writing a long review of the field. So the types of articles should be a letter, opinion, feature article, a popular article, or maybe mini review. And why should we do that? This way we will discuss, present, evaluate, analyze, read scientific papers. So we will master and acquire new skills. And we will do that through 4 types of tasks. Presentation is self-explanatory, and the analysis from the presenter point of view, it's identifying the key ideas and then preparing a presentation as well as preparing the auditory for discussion. And for participant, it means please read and analyze given articles so that you can participate in the discussion, which is exchanging views and thoughts on presented ideas, which we will try to extend to our research fields. And for practice, we will discuss a lot of tools and techniques in order to do all previous tasks. So the assignments will be analysis and practice at home. For the first meeting, we have 2 papers. First, role of steps in nitrogen activation on ruthenium 1001, and that is a mixture of theory and experiment. As well, we will discuss the paper of Billinge and Levin about structure at the nanoscale. And somehow echoing these 2 articles, you can go to the YouTube and listen to an exprompt video made by Jan Rosmeisel about generalized gradient approximation made simple. And just in few seconds, I will talk about there is plenty of room at the bottom, also about nanoscale. And now let me stress that at the first meeting we will talk about RSS and some techniques for reading articles. Now let me give you one example. That is not how we should do every time, but it's just a live example what we could do. Here is this popular article by Richard Feynman, there is plenty of room at the bottom, which was actually presented as a speech at a conference in 59. But then it was also published in 92, and it got more than 1,000 of citations. And to go through this article, let me introduce a solo taxonomy. So that's just a funny approach how we can analyze an article using some tools. Taxonomy is actually a technique for classification in science. Here is a solo taxonomy, which is meant to classify how we acquire knowledge. And in brief, we have a pre-structural level where we do not know anything about the subject. Then we have one key idea. Then we have more ideas. That would be the third, this green multi-structural layer. And then we relate those ideas at the 4th level. And after that, when we have these relations, we can extend them to some other areas. Pretty obvious, isn't it? So let's apply this technique to the article. And it's interesting that Richard Feynman writes, it is strangely small world that is below. In the year 2000, when they look back at this age, they will wonder why it was not until the year 1960 that anybody began seriously to move in that direction, right? That he highlights that we know very few about the subject. Of course, nowadays we know that probably this key idea of Richard Feynman is a ground for nanoscience, as well as electrochemistry, where we in Catalyst always discuss everything at atomic level. So now let's go to the main idea which Richard Feynman stated as a question. Why cannot we write the entire 24 volumes of the Encyclopedia Britannica on the head of a pin? Kind of a provoking question. So he provides some other ideas. Now, this is a long read, but the idea that we can use atoms as a source for information, and those atoms can store some amount of information in bits. And that means that we, by estimation of the author, we need just a very tiny cube of material which is smaller than a piece of dust, and that will contain all the knowledge we have. And then he provides also this idea that in biology we already know that DNA molecules, they contain a lot of information needed to develop the whole grown organism, and it contains also few atoms. So we have now many ideas, like examples. Let's relate them. What is common for them? Well, first of all, it's about atoms, and that is the first paragraph here, highlighting in italics the word atoms. And the second paragraph highlights in italic word control. So that is what relates everything we know and we wish to structure at the nanoscale. In order to do that, we need to have control over atoms to make structures of a specific type. Now, when we have this rationale, we can extend it further. And I'm not going to give you all examples from Richard Feynman article, and I'm not going to continue that right now, but can you feel that now you actually, everyone has some association ideas that we could discuss already? And that is what we will do during the meetings. We will go through some articles, understand what is the key idea there, then understand what is the relations between other ideas presented in the articles, and discuss them. And then after that we also extend them to the areas what we are interested in. And that is all. I'm waiting to see you on Monday.